You've probably scrolled past it, right? That
Yeah.
image that's just a bit weird, or maybe a video that feels slightly off,
hmm
or even some news that seems, I don't know, too strange to be real. Our social feeds, they just seem to be getting filled with this stuff.
Yeah, and often that feeling, that sort of unease, it's usually for a good reason. There's this rapidly growing thing people are calling AI slop.
Hey, I saw
It's
that.
basically low quality, often kind of deceptive content, all mass produced by artificial intelligence. And it's popping up everywhere. I mean, at a scale we haven't really seen before.
AI slop. That name, it kind of fits perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not just like a few odd posts here and
Oh,
there.
no, not at all.
Some people are calling it a brute force attack on algorithms. So
Mm.
in this deep dive, that's our mission, right? To
Mm.
really unpack this whole thing.
Exactly.
We want to explore what this AI slop actually is, how widespread it's become, and maybe most importantly, what it means for how you get your information online.
And we're going to be digging into insights from a pretty comprehensive report. It was published back in June 2025 by AI Forensics.
AI forensics, right.
Yeah, they did this really systematic analysis looking at AI generated content and, crucially, how it's being labeled or not labeled on two huge platforms, TikTok and Instagram.
Sounds like they really went deep. So they looked at specific hashtags in Europe.
They did. They meticulously combed through search results for 13 key hashtags, places like Spain, Germany, Poland.
Hmm.
And they used this detailed manual method to actually identify what was synthetic content. It's quite revealing stuff.
A real wake-up call, you could say.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this AI slop idea first. When we say that, what are we actually talking about? Is it just like any AI picture?
Not quite. It's more specific. AI slop really means mass-produced, low-quality stuff made by AI tools, right? And it's shared like wildfire across the web.
Okay.
The key features are often this uncanny, sometimes just nonsensical feel, but, and this is important, it often uses photorealistic visuals. Remember that weird shrimp Jesus image?
Oh, yeah, Shrimp Jesus. Hard to forget that one. Bizarre, but looked kind of real.
Exactly. Bizarre, visually convincing, and it just took off. Went totally viral.
So this isn't about, AI creating amazing art. It's more like a deliberate tactic. This
Yeah.
brute force the algorithm thing. How does that work in practice?
It's really a numbers game. Content creators are using these generative AI tools because they can churn out content super cheaply, easily, and incredibly fast.
Right, volume.
Totally. The idea is just flood the platforms, like throw enough spaghetti at the wall and hope some of it sticks.
Hmm.
They're hoping just a few pieces catch fire, go viral, and then they can make money off them through ads or whatever monetization the platform offers. It's quantity over quality, pure and simple, designed to game the system.
And just so we're all clear, the report breaks down some terms around this synthetic imagery. Let's quickly cover those.
Good idea. So think of generative AI tools as the Genjins, right?
Yeah.
They can create almost anything, images, text, video, based on a prompt, kind of like magic.
Okay, the tool itself.
Then synthetic AI imagery is the actual output. The pictures, the videos, whatever the tool makes, whether it's totally new or just altered.
Got it. And deep fakes. That term's been around longer.
Yeah, deepfakes are a specific type of synthetic video. Usually it's where someone's face or body is digitally manipulated, like putting someone's head on another body or making them say things they never said, kind of like a high-tech puppet. And yeah, they existed before this current generative AI explosion.
Right. And the ways this AI slop is actually being used,
Okay.
it's not just funny pictures, is it? Some examples are pretty concerning.
Oh, definitely not just memes. We're seeing it used to push like questionable health supplements or creating visuals for Bible stories aimed at Christians.
Hmm.
And some really disturbing stuff like using AI to reanimate photos of murdered children for true crime narration.
Wow. Okay. That's dark.
It is. And politically, it's already in the mix. You had Donald Trump, for instance, reposting AI slop, these weird reimagined scenes of Gaza or even synthetic pictures of himself as part of political messaging.
So it runs the gamut, from silly to potentially quite harmful.
Exactly. Far beyond just, simple entertainment.
Okay, let's talk numbers then. Because the report's findings on just how much of this stuff is out there, that really grabbed me. What did they find on TikTok?
Yeah, the TikTok stats are pretty stark. Get this. One video out of every four, that's about 25% in the top 30 search results for really popular hashtags. Things like hashtag health, hashtag history, even hashtag Trump.
1 in 4.
1 in 4 contains synthetic AI imagery. Just kind of let that sink in. Think about your own feed, what you scroll through every day.
That's huge, 25%.
Yeah.
So what about Instagram? People often think of it as more curated, maybe. How did it compare?
Instagram showed a really sharp contrast, actually. Their search results had significantly less AI content, only around 4.9% across the countries they studied.
Okay, so 4.9% versus 25%. Big difference.
A very big difference. So yeah, it's definitely present on Instagram, but based on these search results, it wasn't flooding feeds in quite the same way as TikTok.
But here's the thing. Regardless of the platform, you mentioned earlier that most of the stuff looks real. The photorealistic quality.
Absolutely crucial point. Over 80% of this AI content on both platforms was photorealistic.
80%. Wow.
And that's the kicker, right? Because
Yeah.
it makes the content look authentic. It massively increases the potential for deception. You might just scroll past, not even realize it's fake, and that's the danger.
Which brings us straight to the labeling problem. If this stuff looks real and it's so common, are the platforms actually telling us clearly, hey, this was made by AI?
Well, this is where the report gets quite critical. The findings show a pretty major lapse. On TikTok, only about half of all the content they identified with synthetic AI imagery was actually labeled.
Only half. That seems low.
It is. And Instagram, even worse,
That's-
only 23% of the much smaller number of cases they found that were labeled at all.
23%, that's barely anything. And hang on, who is actually doing the labeling? Is it the platform stepping in?
That's another really interesting point. On TikTok, almost all the labels they saw were put there by the creators themselves.
Oh, so voluntary disclosure.
Mostly, yeah. The report only found one single instance where it looked like TikTok itself, the platform, had applied the label.
Just one.
Just one identified in their sample. So it really begs the question, why aren't the platforms being more proactive here? Why aren't they doing more to identify and flag this stuff?
And even when the labels are there, the report says they're not very effective. Like, they're hard to see.
Exactly. They're often pretty useless in practice. On TikTok, these user disclosures, often buried way down in the hashtag list or the description, you actually have to click more to even find them.
So you have to go looking for it.
You do. And Instagram's even worse on this front. The labels are often hidden behind a second click within the app menu itself.
A second click.
Seriously.
Yep. And if you're browsing Instagram on your computer, on the desktop, the labels are completely non-existent. Gone. No way.
Yeah.
So basically, the labeling, even when it happens, is largely ineffective. Almost seems designed to be missed.
That's certainly the impression the report gives. It renders them pretty ineffective for the average user just scrolling by.
Now, this isn't just about platforms maybe not doing a great job. There's actual regulation around this, especially in the EU, right? The report touches on that.
Yes, the European regulatory side is really important context here. You've got the AI Act, which actually entered into force in July 2024. It puts clear transparency requirements on the companies providing the AI systems.
Okay, so rules for the AI toolmakers.
Right. Then there's the Digital Services Act, the DSA. That one's huge for platforms. It explicitly requires them to identify and deal with systemic risks from content, and it specifically says synthetic media should be distinguishable through, quote, prominent markings.
Prominent markings, not hidden behind 2 clicks or buried in hashtags.
Precisely. The intent seems clear.
So why the massive gap between the rules and what the report found happening on the ground?
Well, it goes even further. There is also the Code of Conduct on Disinformation, which includes commitments from platforms about transparency and proactively detecting malicious AI stuff. And some places are putting teeth into it. Spain announced a bill aiming to fine companies up to 35 million euros for non-compliance.
35 million euros. Okay, that's serious.
It is. But the report's bottom line is pretty stark. Despite all these regulations, despite the platform's own public promises, their current labeling practices are just inconsistent and, frankly, largely ineffective. They're not really walking the walk.
This is fascinating, also kind of worrying. There's this new type of account the report identifies, agentic AI accounts, or AAAs. What on earth are those?
AAAs, yeah, this is a really key development. They're basically a new kind of automated social media account.
Automated?
Yeah, they use generative AI tools to completely automate the content creation process. This lets them rapidly, repetitively test the platform algorithms to see what works.
So wait, the AI is running the account itself?
Pretty much. They can apparently research trends, draft the posts, generate the images or videos, optimize it all for engagement, essentially run the whole show, all starting from maybe just a single human prompt.
Wow, that's a whole new level.
It really marks a shift. One prompt can trigger this cascade of optimized AI-generated content flooding the platform.
So it's not just a person using AI tools anymore, it's AI systems running social media campaigns.
That seems to be the case with these AAAs. And get this, the report found over 80% of the synthetic AI content on TikTok and nearly 15% on Instagram was posted by these automated accounts.
80% on TikTok. They're the main source of this stuff then.
They appear to be the dominant force driving this AI slop, yeah.
Okay, understanding these AAAs, it's not just that they exist, but how they operate. The report breaks them down into different types, right, based on their strategy.
Yeah, they identified 3 main categories, each with a slightly different approach to getting into your feed.
All right, what are they?
First, you have monotopic AAAs. These guys specialize. They pick one thing and just hammer it. Like, the report mentions accounts that just constantly post photorealistic synthetic pictures of politicians as toddlers.
Okay, laser focused on one meme or niche, like a little AI content factory. What's next?
Then you've got polytopic AAAs. These are more like explorers. They try out lots of different formats, different subjects. They might jump on existing trends or even try to start new ones.
They're more experimental, trying to find what works.
Exactly. Their content could be anything from cartoon animals one day to messing with images of public figures the next. They're probing the algorithm constantly.
And a third type, hybrid AAAs. They sound maybe the most complex.
They can be quite tricky, yeah. Hybrid AAAs mix things up. They combine synthetic AI images with actual stock photos or maybe footage they found somewhere else. And they often layer on AI-generated audio, AI-generated narratives. These accounts often lean into clickbait, really shocking stuff, stories about human misery or weird anomalies. Even if parts are real, the overall story and many visuals are AI-generated, which really blurs the line.
Right, making it even harder to tell what's what. And it's clear the goal is to get attention, go viral. Did the report actually show if this AI slop, especially from these AAAs, is successful? Is it getting engagement?
Oh, absolutely. The AI slop content, particularly the stuff coming from these AAAs, got the most engagement in their entire data set.
Really? More than human-created stuff?
In their sample, yes. Some of the TikTok videos posted by these AAAs racked up tens of millions of views.
Tens of millions, wow.
It just shows how effective this brute force algorithm testing approach can actually be at grabbing attention, even if the content itself is, well, slop.
And for many of these accounts, the end game is money, right?
Right.
Often through kind of exploitative ways.
Sadly, yes. The report details how AAAs are using systematic methods to monetize. There's even a specific subtype they found that specializes in exploiting explicit content.
How so?
Creating highly sexualized synthetic clips of women, sometimes even pretending to be fake news channels reporting on them. It's pretty grim.
That is grim.
Other accounts use synthetic images to sell products. Sometimes the products themselves are kind of fake or synthetic, or they push guides teaching other people how to make money from AI content.
Sort of like an AI slop pyramid scheme?
Kinda, yeah. The report gives us one really clear example. An account started out posting crime-related AI slop. Once it got popular, it suddenly switched to just posting repetitive weight loss ads, presumably because it now had a large audience it could sell to.
Right, build the audience with whatever works, then cash in. Okay, so let's look at some more concrete examples of how this slop shows up based on the report's categories. Let's start with AI slop as authority satire. Hashtags like hashtag Trump or hashtag Zelensky.
Okay, yeah. Here they saw 2 main things. First was infantilization, showing political figures as toddlers, or with weirdly exaggerated childlike features, basically using AI to mock them visually.
Right.
Visual ridicule. The other was non-realistic situations. So you get these photorealistic images, but they show the figures in completely improbable, over-the-top scenes. It's meant as satire, but because it looks so real, it creates this really uncanny effect. Makes your brain do a double take.
Okay, so weird, but maybe obviously fake satire. What about the next category? Synthetic AI imagery as plausible disinformation. That sounds more dangerous.
It definitely has more potential for harm. Under this, they found things like synthetic interviews. These mimic those person-on-the-street interview formats, making it look like you're seeing genuine public reactions, but it's all AI generated.
Wow, okay. Faking public opinion.
Yeah, and then there's synthetic citizen journalism. This is where AI simulates footage of events like, say, explosions or natural disasters, designed to look like shaky amateur phone footage.
Oh, like deepfake news footage.
Essentially. The report mentions that nuclear-like explosion clip again. It was originally posted on YouTube with a disclosure saying it was synthetic. But then someone grabbed it, stripped the disclosure, and reshared it on TikTok, claiming it was real footage from Iran. Shows how easily this stuff can be weaponized.
And Instagram wasn't totally clean here either, right?
Yeah.
Even with less slop overall.
Correct. They found an example on Instagram. Fake, photorealistic interview clip, supposedly from Iran, labeled exclusive, but they were missing the proper AI labels. The creator had put a satire disclosure, but it was hidden deep in the hashtags where almost no one would see it.
So misleading by default, basically. Okay, what about messing with the past? Synthetic storytelling and elusive historicizing, using the #history hashtag.
Right. This involves stuff like impossible photography. These are photorealistic pictures of historical scenes or figures, but they distort the facts. They look real, even if they're historically nonsense, which can really mess with your understanding of history.
Makes you doubt what you learned.
Exactly. And also synthetic point of view, or POV footage. This tries to visualize what it was like to be in a historical place or witness an event, all from a first-person view. Creates this false sense of having been there.
Oh. And even something as mundane as stock photos can be AI slop under #health.
Yeah, that was interesting. Two types here. One is generating ideas as stock images. Basically, AI creating generic visuals for abstract health concepts, mimicking the style of normal stock photos you'd see.
Okay, AI made visual aids.
And the other is generating the invisible body, using AI to create visualizations of things like internal bodily processes or what happens at a microscopic level, stuff we can't normally see. AI is now generating images for it.
Right. And finally, this almost surreal category, rendering synthetic past futures connected to the #Pope hashtag.
Yeah, these are pretty creative manipulations. One is reanimating surrogate clips. This is where they take real still photos and use AI to animate them, making it look like the person is moving or talking. Gives old photos this weird false sense of life.
Like bringing photos to life, but synthetically.
Exactly. And the other is generating synthetic surrogate clips. This is showing real people, like the Pope, doing historically impossible or just plain silly things. That Balenciaga Pope meme that went viral.
Oh, yeah. Pope in the puffer jacket.
That's a perfect example, generating a completely synthetic but photorealistic scenario around a real recognizable figure.
Okay, so after all that,
Mhm.
what's the takeaway? What does this all mean for you listening, trying to navigate this online world and stay informed without just getting lost in all this digital noise?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that this stuff, this widespread, often unlabeled, very realistic-looking content, it has a clear and very present potential to deceive and manipulate people.
Yeah.
It fundamentally challenges our ability to trust what we see online. It directly impacts the quality of the information that's even reaching us in our feeds. We're basically navigating this increasingly murky landscape, and that default trust we might have had in visuals, it's being eroded.
So what's the solution? The report made recommendations.
Yeah.
Especially about enforcement.
It did. It really stresses this urgent need for much stronger enforcement and, crucially, standardization of AI content labeling across all platforms, especially since they've already made commitments under rules like the DSA.
Standardization is key.
Totally. And the labels need to be visible by default on all types of content, on all versions of the platform, especially fixing that ridiculous desktop issue on Instagram where labels just vanish. The information has to be right there, up front, not buried.
But it feels like just putting a label on it might not be enough, especially with the ClickBeat success. Did the report suggest going further?
It absolutely did. It makes this really provocative point. Beyond just labeling, the sheer amount and the success of this clickbaity, often deceptive content, that should be a massive wake-up call for the platforms themselves. They need to seriously reevaluate their core systems, their recommender algorithms, even their fundamental business models, if they genuinely want to create a healthier, more trustworthy online space. It's about changing the incentives, so platforms reward reliable, genuine content, not just whatever goes viral, regardless of whether it's slop.
And tackling those agentic AI accounts seems critical to slowing this down.
They're a huge piece of the puzzle, yeah. Platforms, regulators, they have to figure out how to effectively flag and moderate these AAAs, their potential to just scale up information operations, manipulation campaigns. It's immense. If they're left unchecked, they could genuinely overwhelm our digital public spaces.
Okay, so summing up, we've looked at this rise of AI slop, how surprisingly common it is, especially on TikTok, the major problems with how platforms are failing to label it effectively, and the emergence of these really sophisticated automated accounts, the AAAs, that are basically designed to flood our feeds.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that while the rule makers are trying to catch up, the tech itself and these automated methods for spreading the content, they're moving even faster. It's a real challenge.
Which leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it?
Mm.
As these AI tools just get better and better, more integrated into everything we do online,
Mm.
how do we as users, how do you sharpen your own critical thinking? How do you navigate this world that's becoming increasingly synthetic?
Mm.
How do you find that balance between enjoying the cool stuff, the discovery online, but also maintaining that essential need for discernment, for questioning what you see?
It really pushes us all, doesn't it, to be more active, more questioning consumers of information, to maybe just pause for a second before we share or react, to really look at what we're consuming.
Yeah, so maybe the next time you're scrolling through your feed, just take that extra second, pause, look a bit closer, and ask yourself, is this real? Is it authentic,
Oh,
or is
wow.
it slop?